This is Eric Rattan of Cannibal Corpse. You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast with Andrew McKay Smith.
Hey there, hope you're well. I've got a killer conversation with the brothers from Warrior Within to share with you on this installment of the show. You'll be hearing from Tass and Toli Hadoulis. I invited the guys onto the show because I'm very impressed with what they're up to. They've got 2 new singles in market right now, Pagan Spirit and Last Blaze of the Phoenix. You can check them out at Bandcamp and on streaming services. And if you dive into their back catalogue, you don't have to go too far. 2020 was the year that they released an EP called In Light Act 2. And in 2018, there was another EP called In Darkness Act 1. So here they are, Tass and Toli Hadoulis from the outfit Warrior Within. Lads, I appreciate the opportunity to have a chat because I've been following you for some time, and the other thing too is I actually appreciate the support you've given me with the posts. You know, you've liked posts and stuff. I do take notice of that sort of stuff because there's a lot of that. I've got to say it. There's a lot of that pissing about in the local scene where local bands don't want to support local content creators or other bands and all of that sort of stuff. And I see what goes on, and I've got no interest in literally any of that sort of stuff because I see it as part of my role to sort of uplift and empower, especially when it comes to a killer band like you guys.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah, we have noticed that. Sort of a bit surprising since we got back into the scene because we've been sort of off and on with it for a long time. In the earlier days, it was more supportive, you know. It was more the 3-band lineup. Everyone kind of ended up knowing each other. Everyone was there before the first band and there to the last backing up gear. And if there was support, there were flyers in the day and, you know, all sorts of stuff. But today, it's sort of, I don't know, a bit insular, I think. And it's nice to see people like you doing it right and, you know, having good presence, consistency, quality, supporting good bands, and, you know, vice versa. So, yeah, thank you for having us.
That's all good. That's all good. And talking about the topic of quality, you guys are delivering nothing but quality, old school, head-banging, riffing, heavy metal the way that Satan himself intended. That's the only way I can summarise it because I was listening to you guys. I've been listening to you guys for a fair bit. You know, Spotify is where your main presence is, and so you've got these 2 relatively new singles. You got Pagan Spirit and Last Blaze of the Phoenix. Now, I think you as I say, your work has always been imbued with quality, but I think you've truly knocked it out of the park with these last 2 here. So please tell me an album is somewhere on the near horizon.
I can't. We were sort of thinking at the beginning when we started recording again to do albums. So we released our 2 EPs, building up to do an album, and then as we've been seeing social media, streaming and the like, reading a lot of our mentors, what's happened and what's happening and where things are going, we've decided just to, at the most, release EPs or singles. That's the way we can get the most momentum and engagement from people because we're finding people only have so much focus. So if you release a 10-song album, have a single that comes out of that and maybe another song that might catch people because they only listen so far and then they're off to the next band. But social media just tempts them. If something else comes up and boom, they're off. Right. Unless you get your core fans, which is the aim. But just to build up a good following, we find it doesn't seem to be working, putting all the sweat and guts and money and time in 10 songs or 12 songs and only getting maybe two full songs really getting recognised and the others sort of like, which are just as absolutely good, but not really getting much traction.
Or just only a few months worth of exposure because your album comes out and then once you've hit, you know, the 2-month mark, radio gears, oh, that's old, we don't want to play that. So for the interim, for the moment, it seems to be the best strategy for us to release a song, have the next amount of presence out there, then release another one, which does kind of feel weird for us because we're from that generation. You know, you buy a vinyl, you sit down and listen to the whole slab in one sitting, read the lyrics. So it is a little bit odd for us to be, you know, not doing it the way we kind of had intended to do it at the beginning. But that's not to say that we're not going to release big, you know,
the full albums in the future, but we're sort of going sort of song by song at the moment. See how we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, great response to the question. Now that's just my own desire, because I would love to listen to a full to your point there, 9 or 10 tracks in a row from you guys, as you guys had crafted it. Given that you have come from a similar generation to myself and that we grew up listening to albums, but the answer that you've given there around, you're an underground band, you're an indie outfit. And there's honestly probably no point in releasing albums at this point in time, and it's something that I've talked about a lot on the podcast. And it's not just underground bands, man. It's major bands that have been around for years that are sort of flipping now to releasing just singles and testing the water, because the issue these days is Spotify, or let's just call it social media playlists, because there's a bunch of them out there these days, and they ignore the album. So. And when you get the deep dive of the analytics in, it turns out in some cases you might have sort of 20,000 listens or what have you, and this is nothing against the artist whatsoever, but the average listen time, and this is key, of that one track, if it's a 3.5 or 4 minute long track, people on average have listened to it for 1.5 minutes. And it's like, what the hell? Like, so what are they doing? Like getting to the verse and the chorus, and then they think they've heard it all and flipping to the next one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's stimulus overload. That's our generation, current generation, is all doing the same thing. That's interesting, because I talked to many different musicians, and it's happening everywhere. That's the norm, like what you just said. So videos or music, that's the norm. So
I think if you've grown up with a band, you hold a different. I think it gets into your DNA in a different way, and you revere them in a different way. So say a new Exodus album comes out, you'll devour every song of it. But if a smaller local band releases something of equal quality, we'll take a track here, a track there, and then when another video comes out, we might take another track and give it attention. We won't give all of everything they release in one go attention for some reason. Because we I don't know, as we said, we're too scattered, and we just all, like moths to the flame, just going where our attention is taken.
Yeah, there's a lot of stimulus out there, and there's a lot of temptation. So whatever particular platform people are watching, there's just so much coming at them. I don't know how that goes, though, because usually songs are on playlists. So it'll be like a 50-song playlist, similar genre, similar feel, all excellent bands, some underground, some full-on, up there, arena fillers. And there's no reason you would skip to the next song, or Spotify won't throw in a suggestion if you're listening to a playlist. So I don't know where that trend is coming from on such things like Spotify. I can see it on YouTube, because a lot of people do watch YouTube and listen by that way. But things come up on the side, and I'll read some, and it'll tempt them, and they'll hop off and go off and to see what Dark Angel are doing all of a sudden, But I don't know. It's just it's odd for me, because I listen to a song in its entirety and an album. So yeah.
Yeah, I do too, I've got to say. We grew up in an era where when Euthanasia came out by Megadeth, we listened to that shit for like 6 months straight. It was just you know what I mean? It's just what we did, and we got familiar with every song right the way through to, what was the last song? Not Even Close. I can't remember the name of the song, but you guys probably know it. But you know what I mean? You become familiar with all of Marty Friedman's solos, and I think that... Yeah, everything. And the generation now just don't understand that, because it's more about, and I think the Spotify CEO talked about it, and whilst I listen to Spotify because I have to, it's just never been my preferred way of consuming content. But he talked about these days the whole thing about bands releasing albums, then going on tours, and then the interview cycle. So of course that's done. We all know it's been done for about a decade and a half. But these days, if you're not spending, he alluded to this, he didn't say this directly, but, and this is a good point that I'll ask you guys about, because you do have a good socials presence. So on that point, spending a lot of your time producing content for people all the time too. Yeah. So do you find that the social media side of things, because you do have a strong presence on social media, do you find,
it is consuming,
it takes up more of your time than you want?
Absolutely. And we're just talking about it today. You're treating it like a business, not just as a musician. And that's my frustration, because I need space in life to be able to write and think and sit down, grab a guitar. And if I'm just billing it all the time with the back end of the band, it's sort of, and then you've got your full-time job as well. It takes a lot of time, and there is a lot of work on the side doing that because of that nature of people just consuming in that way.
And, in the past we used to be a lot more frequent with posts, and, we do have a belief that if you're going to put something out there, it's got to be a quality something with good imagery, good artwork. And, we do our own photoshopping and X, Y, Z, which takes an X amount of time. So it was getting to a certain point where it was like, well, I'm spending more time in front of the computer than playing the bass. And my bass playing, writing songs is where my heart is. Why am I sitting in front of Photoshop for something like that?
Yeah, so it's been a balancing act, and the more and more we go to it. And that, again, goes to why we're releasing the singles. It just gives more balance, more time on the guitar than sort of working on the business.
Especially at a time where you can't get exposure more regularly by playing, because, before this time we had at least, a gig a month. So you're out there connecting with the fans on a face-to-face basis very regularly. So now we're thinking, well, if you can't do that by hitting the stages, well, let's get a song out there sort of for that almost same frequency sort of thing. Yeah. Every 3 months or so, song out there. It's also sort of adapting to the times and how things are working.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, adapting to the times, the way things are working, and just sort of trying to find a meaningful way to plug into that. But also, I love the point about balance too. Finding that balance between doing what we love, because I'm a musician too, just playing. I mean, I'd give, if we could all be sort of guaranteed a relatively, a decent audience. I don't know what a decent audience is these days, but if you're playing at Soul Bar there on Ocean Street and 150 people turn up to watch you guys and maybe 2 other bands, I mean, that'd be a killer night. I mean, I'll probably be there for a start. But just around back, I love what you guys are doing with the artwork. So is that you guys that are taking care of that? So I'm talking about the album art that you've done for Last Blades of the Phoenix and also Pagan Spirit, or album art, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, well, we've always loved great album covers, and we were sort of reserving the idea to do it for albums. So when we did the EPs, we kept it simple, straight to the point, sort of underground and gritty. But then when we were going to produce albums, we're going to get some great art for us. We are artists, but we chose not to go down that path. It would take me forever to produce that. So we just started sort of looking around for artists that were in our sort of style and feel, and we found Alvaro in Spain. So we used him for the future as well. So we're really happy with what he does, and he works really well with us. He's got the right attitude. He's most 99% metal, so it's in his veins. We just grew up with great covers and continuity. All the bands that we loved had great art, and it just represents the music well. So we're really happy.
So you guys obviously being brothers, did you get into metal at the same time, or was someone the carriage and another one of you the caboose, so to speak?
I kind of got into it. It wasn't much earlier, but it was probably a couple of months earlier than Toli. But metal, we got into it together. Yeah. But I got to playing the guitar maybe a couple of months before, and then Toli went, well,
a few years, but I had to save up for my bass. But it was interesting. It's interesting story. I'll tell you the story. Tass was a young fella, and as you do when you're 12 years old, he was hitching, and he found this white cassette without a cover on the side of the street, and his mate goes, his mate recognised the name of the band. He goes, that's rubbish, throw it in the bin. It's horrible stuff. You don't want to get involved in that stuff.
My mate was into all the stuff which I still love, like the Oils, which I worship, and all the other Aussie bands, Cold Chisel, and all that. And it was just that. And if you listen to any metal, you were kind of outcast. So he was like, chuck it away. That's why it's on the road. I'm going, I need a name. And I went, no, man, I'm checking it out when I get home. So I did. I kept it, got home, put it in the tape deck, and that was it. We heard that. It was Number of the Beast. And we were like,
nice.
What?
Yeah.
I was like, and up until that point, I always wanted to play guitar. I was only little, and I really loved Mike Knopfler. He was always on the radio. And this just took it to the next level. Same heart and feel, just pure power. And I just said, Dad, I need guitar lessons, Oh, all right. So eventually he he gave away and got me guitar lessons, and that was it. So from then,
so we were bitten by them, and all our spare money was spent on records. And eventually I afforded a bass because there was this instrument in the background on those cassettes that
you just sounded awesome. I mean, Steve Harris.
Yeah.
Come on, yeah.
So that was how I got into the bass as well.
Yep.
But
that's as good a point as any. That one right there, Steve Harris. Him, Alex, Bob Daisley. Those are the guys that I worshipped when I was a kid. And then I got into. I'm a bassist too, so I play guitar as well. But my main instrument that I adore, that I love playing, is the bass. And that's why I found your bass playing, mate, too. I truly enjoyed. I love the prominence of it in the music. You haven't sacrificed it. It's there, and you've got a really gnarly sound.
Yeah, we just love that really strong bass. We do love punk as well, and it's always present in punk. And crossover, of course, that bridges those two genres. DRI is one of our favourite bands, and Felix, the first bass player, helps that, they carried that sound from Felix. And when he left, Josh Pape, and then Felix carried it on.
Josh Pape.
Yeah, and that sound is just that, we call it like a bouncing ball. It's just, you can always hear it.
Yeah.
And Toli always strived for that. He'd get a bass, and it just didn't sound it. And he'd just play with pickups, play with his action, play with his string gauges, the type of material strings are made out of it. You've just got it down pat.
Yep. And it's one of those things where we think it gives a better, for our music at least, a good dimension. It's not just a guitar-driven sound only. Yeah. It's a little bit more layered. And the beauty is that we only have one guitarist, so the bass doesn't have to fight this big wall of guitars on top.
Yep.
So for us, I think it really works.
It works well, but... No, that's fine. That's all good. No, it works well, and you do it well. And Toli, you can clearly play the 4-string too. So you're not just hammering away on the E string, from the note of A, and using the 5 notes beneath it just to sort of carve out something. I can hear you doing some runs as well, and I think that alludes to another point, is that the band's music has that, and I call it the psychic connection that only brothers have. So do you guys, when you're writing music, do you often come up with similar ideas and go, wow, how did each of us come up with this?
Yeah, we do have a very similar style. There are differences which make for variety, yet when you hear it in the piece, they just work as one. And I think that is because of our relationship. We've got, as you said, I think psychic relationship, or that very subconscious connection. So, yeah, absolutely. There is a definite flowing connection, which I have heard a lot of bands take many years to get by being together to get that flow. But being brothers, we had that right from the beginning.
And I think there is that magic of similarity, but enough difference between our songwriting that as Tass said, it gives that variety.
Yeah.
It's not too samey all the time.
So how do the other guys go fitting in with what you guys do? So your drummer and your vocalist?
Oh, man, they work so well. Like, we've had a few drummers now. Scotty's been here from the beginning, and they just work so well with us. And we're just a great sort of team in that sense. So we'll have the music written. We can evolve after we've written it. Bits might change here or there. And we'll be working with the drummer. We'll throw him the main song. We'll jam over it, and then he'll just be throwing his drums in. And Tom is our new drummer, and the guy's just got such a diverse listening base like we do. He's just fitting the band like a glove, like from soft music to extreme death metal. And he's from the death metal scene in Florida, and he migrated here.
Oh wow! Okay.
20 years. Yeah, 20 years ago, I think it was.
16, 20 years.
Around 20 years ago. So,
okay.
Yeah, and just the chops he comes up from traditional to intricate.
He understands the music.
He really gets the music, and we're just loving working with him. And we just massage it with him, pull it down, go up, and he'll just come out with stuff and just knock it out of the park. So, man, that's it. You won. Yeah. Don't change it. So we're loving it. And Scott's got his great approach. He's always had such a strong hunger and energy for the style. He's a bit younger than us. He's 10 years younger. So he's kind of got a cross-cultural influence too. So he comes with his own sort of set of influences as well, which is a strong contribution to us as well.
Yeah, I'm hearing that. I'm hearing it sounds like a very cohesive environment you guys have got. And you're saying, so the drummer being from Florida, that is in itself is very interesting, because I reckon that scene, because I'm 43, so the biggest imprint in my youth would have to be that scene, that Floridian death metal scene. Morbid Angel, who were probably my favourite band, Deicide, Obituary, Cannibal Corpse, Monstrosity, so many, Vital Remains, all of these killer acts and the like. So was he old enough to have been playing with those sort of guys?
He was gigging at that time, and he's played with a lot of them. I think was it called the Golden Mug? Well, there were two major venues.
Yeah, the Brass Mug.
The Brass Mug. It was that, and there's another one.
The lady's name is
Maisie's or something or other.
Yeah,
can't remember. But there were two venues that were two go places. All the bands went through them, and he played in with his band, underground band, supporting Obituary and all the like. So he's been there, done that. He was studying sound engineering from that age too as well. So he's a sound engineer. He's got his own studio in Noosa. So so he's always been really heavily involved with the scene.
And if he wasn't on the stage, he was also he's working for big music production companies, for like seriously big bands. And so he was doing stage sound for the big bands when he wasn't playing himself.
Yeah, so he's had that strong influence of that death scene. And thrash. Is primarily a thrasher who grew into thrash and to death as death emerged. So, and that's us. That's us to a T. We grew up in that emergence from new wave of British heavy metal to thrash emergence, and then death emergence. So, one of our favourite bands of all time that we feel has strong influence is Obituary. You take the vocals out of that, it's like thrash with Black Sabbath. Like, you can't explain it better than that. They've got just all their slower sections of pure Sabbath, Obituary style, but then they go into this thrash element. Yeah. And you just throw Tardy's vocals on top, and you've just got the annihilation of Obituary. So, that's something that's always really, really influenced us. The interesting sort of songwriting that they do, the melodies, and that whole area. Florida had that pretty much, as you said, Morbid Angel, and Carcass, and so Tom comes with those type of chops, and we just love playing with him. We really, really enjoy playing with Tom.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. It sounds cohesive. It sounds like everybody's on the same page or thereabouts. So have you obviously with COVID you haven't been able to do too much, but in terms of playing live shows and getting out there and spreading the word, I'm pretty sort of set in my ways insofar as metal needs to be played live, and I'd love to see you guys live. So is there plans afoot to play?
Oh, for sure, man. Like before COVID, we had a plan of 1 gig a month, and that was happening. And of course, things have changed. So we're looking to get Tom up to speed. He's probably got almost a support set now, probably short of a couple of songs. And then we're looking to hit up, just the local scene, Brisbane, and the 11 bar at Maroochydore that's opened up now. So,
that's right. Yeah, it is too. Yeah.
See what happens with interstate, because we'd really love to play Sydney and Melbourne. We had our tour. We were on our tour when COVID hit, and we had to just cancel that. Unfortunately. So we got as far as Newcastle and had to come back. Yeah. So we'd like definitely by the end of the year to.
But we love playing live.
Get out there again. Yeah.
We absolutely love it. So it's part of why we do it. We'd like to get out. But at the same token, we don't want to do it to people having to stand still and not being able to mosh. So we have to do it at a point where we know that the gigs are going to go ahead and there's not going to be restrictions.
Yeah, something I've been finding disappointing on my end and a lot of other people that I've spoken to with these restrictions, they'll open up you can get 150, 200 people in a venue again, and then boom, they close down, and then you lose the ticket. It gets rescheduled. Bands drop out. Different lineup comes up, and then half the interest is gone. I don't want to be part of that sort of mess. Advertise a gig, and through something beyond our control, it just all collapses. So we're waiting for things to clear up a bit, and I think go for that. We're hoping by the end of the year that things should be smoother sailing. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll definitely see what happens. I talk about COVID a lot on the podcast and how it impacts bands, and I think it's ridiculous the setup at the moment with the it's a zero-sum game from the perspective that these bloody premiers, these state leaders want zero community transmissions off a highly infectious disease and contagious disease. It's not going to happen. We all need to integrate at some point, meaning we're all going to sort of get it or a version of it or something like that, and just you can't lock down populations forever. We've not had it too bad, I know. At least we sort of haven't really felt it, have we? Unless you needed to go out of the state, but
that's right.
It's just me neither, and I know plenty haven't, particularly down in Victoria. Victoria has been hit the hardest, as you know. I mean, they had 112 days, I think it was, of lockdowns. It was just insanity. Like it was 3 months, over 3 months of lockdowns, and you get to that point, and it also affects people's confidence. To your point, you very eloquently summarised it. You don't want to book anything and just have everything fall to shit.
Yeah.
You want some confidence and surety that when you book a show that it's there and punters can turn up, So
yeah.
So what about just to go back to the social media side of things again, but not necessarily about content, but you do have a pretty good following. Is that following? Have you done the analytics of it? Is it mainly Australian, or have you got a healthy smattering across the world of people following you?
No, it's actually pretty healthy abroad and Australia. From the beginning, we were focused on Australia and abroad. As I say, abroad, mostly Europe. Having grown up with metal, that comes mostly from that part of the world. Of course, America is a massive influence. But the population's so massive, it's so hard to break the American scene. We early on said we'll tour in Australia, go to Europe, get a strong following, and then tackle America later when we've got all behind us. So we do have a fair bit of following actually in Europe. Our aim is to be going every 2 years overseas and doing like a 6 to 8 week tour and play 6 to 8 bands, that kind of thing, 6 to 8 venues. And the idea was to literally just like you would in Australia, rent a minibus and a trailer and literally do your gigs.
Yeah, drive
do a round trip,
Greece across the Spain
and come back.
Whatever shows are in between.
Yeah. So we're actually advertising, or not advertising, but actually making sure that we covered European audience as well. So that we were really surprised has had a really good response. We've got a Greek background, so we can land in Greece first, have a base in Greece, and then from there move around Europe. So our stats and analytics are showing actually Greece is top of the ranking of the stats there, which blew us away. We didn't think that would be that successful. So yeah, definitely we've got an international audience.
And Greece has a killer heavy metal scene.
Big time.
Does it ever, man?
Big time.
Incredible. They're so hungry. What I love about Greece is they've got such a diverse listening taste. So they can listening to pop in the morning and death metal in the afternoon, the same person.
Yeah.
They just love music. It's integrated into every part of life. And they love the massive heavy metal following.
They love their melodic stuff like Maiden, Gamma Ray, and so on, but they also love their Rotting Christ. They love their heavy stuff as well. It's a good mix.
Yeah, that'll be killer for you guys to get over there and do that.
Yeah, I'm going to love it.
It's also the way they respond to the music as well, because, a lot of bands, when they do a live album, they often record it in Greece because the crowds go nuts. Apparently, a lot of big bands say that the crowds in America are very cool. They don't sort of get into it unless, there's, some big event or it happens to be a special event. but they tend to hold back a little bit. Whereas in Europe, they just go absolutely nuts. But in particular, Greece, the Greeks just go ballistic.
That Iced Earth album, that Live in Athens, I think it was called. That was one of my favourite live albums for years.
Yeah. There are so many of our bands that they've produced their live album out of Greece. It's Annihilator have done it, Candlemass have done it. It's like countless bands have done it, and it's like after a while, I think having Greek background, this is a pretty good positive.
Yeah.
We're focused.
Oh, use it, guys. I mean, if it's your heritage, I mean, by all means, get over there and stir up some interest and some trouble at the same time, via the live scene.
Yeah.
So, in terms of like playing with local bands, okay, I've noticed that you're mates with the guys in Wartooth, I think it is, and there's a couple of other bands there that I've noticed that have commented on your page and stuff like that. But how do you network with a lot of the local scene? Because I know the Sunny, I'm very familiar with the Sunny Coast, so I know there's not like a metal gig on every weekend, yet alone every month, yet alone every weekend. So you're having to come down to Brisbane and network that way just by going to, like a metal church gig or something like that and meeting up with people?
Well, all the bands we love always go to the internationals that come. We never miss it, even if it's in the middle of the week and we have to wake up, 5 o'clock tomorrow morning for work. We just love going to our band. So that's one we just do naturally. And then you see the familiar faces there and catch up with them. But it's more happened since we got into the band, getting out there playing on a regular basis. And we've always had the ethos to be there early, support people, be there for the first opening act, and be there for if we're not headlining, be there for the closing act. And we always just give great support to the bands that are there whilst they're playing. Just give good energy, and hope that gets returned, and we always have that. We just really like to enjoy our night out.
Yeah.
And through that, we've met a lot of great people. So, so when we go to a gig, say we're playing with 4 bands, straight away we'll be, supporting them, really liking their posts, sharing, befriending them, and that kind of thing. Just natural networking that comes out of playing a gig with other bands and keeping that going down the line, providing it is returned. It doesn't often return. That cycle does sort of die out. So we just keep it going with the ones that do. And that's how it's sort of probably what you're seeing reflected on our posts.
Yeah. And, we think of metal as a brotherhood and a sisterhood. Like, if you're out there, we've all got similar interests. So why not support each other? So if we're, in a 15-band lineup at a festival, we'll be there for the very first band, and we'll give them support because we know what it's like to be the first band as well. So, and we just like to show the respect when we go to gigs in that sense. So, and we'll be there at midnight too. We'll be there right through the night. And I think that the other bands appreciate that we're doing that for them as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's such a great philosophy, what you just said then about metal being about it's a brotherhood and a sisterhood. I've long believed that because, I look like a regular bloke, by the way. I've got an office job, I'm a journalist, this sort of thing. But, I used to have long hair like 20 years ago, so long ago. But I always thought you always have that the spirit never leaves you, does it? You love the fucking music. It's just part of who you are. And you go to, and look, I've got the great privilege, as you know, of talking to so many of my favourite bands and so many of the bands that become favourite bands. And I can tell you guys, I can tell you guys, they're all cool. Every fucking single one of them are just so cool to talk to.
Yeah, it's all in attitude, isn't it? And I think that's a formula for why these bands have made it so far and for so long. It's because they love it and they're good people. And you need to be good people to keep 4 or 5 or 6 band members going, don't you? If you're at each other's throat because you're not good people, it's not going to last. So I think it does take a good person to be in a band that lasts, and also, having gratitude for that.
Gratitude, yeah. And I've felt that firsthand when I've spoken to and met up with guys like Phil Anselmo and Pepper Keenan and Kurt from Metal Church. These guys, man, I mean, they're the first. You walk in a room and they see you walking in a room and they go and grab a beer for you without you even asking for it.
Oh, man.
It's just, mate, it's just because they remember the interview and you bonded, you connected, you talked about many things that well away from the interview, even exchanged emails and stuff. Yeah. I don't know of any genre of music where that's that fostering of the brotherhood that you so eloquently said, and the sisterhood occurs.
And, it's a heavy music, and yet how many injuries and how many fights are there at metal gigs? Virtually none. And if someone falls down, they get picked up. Whereas even at rock gigs, we find that there's fist fights and people trample on each other. It doesn't happen at metal gigs. People care.
Well, I've known plenty of club owners, people who've owned clubs in the valley, and one talking to the guy who used to own XYZ there on what's that on? That's on Ann Street, isn't it? And he was telling me, he said the metal nights and the hardcore nights, no problem. He said the hip hop nights, that's when things got broken and people got hurt. Because all of the tough guys trying to imitate their urban gangster heroes from the US.
That's right. Yeah.
So, but lads, killer conversation from here though. Can you please tell people, like I always say this, how can people support you? Is it by purchasing physical product like T-shirts and CDs, and where can they do that?
Yeah, well, we have a Bandcamp store, so head over to our website, which is, Facebook site. So that's warriorwithin.thrashmetal.band. Just put Warrior Within Band and we'll come up. And hit the shop now, and that'll take you to Bandcamp. We've got our merch there.
Yep.
Yeah, you're easily found.
Easy to find. Support us on Instagram, support us on Facebook, support us on Spotify. Just by those bits of support there is really appreciated by us.
Really is.
Probably, I'm not pissing in your pocket, but you're probably my favourite band from Queensland. So there you go. Felt like favourite local band. So.
Thanks so much.
Really appreciate that.
It means a lot, man.
Yeah, no, I'll listen to your stuff. I listened to your stuff even before, I got the idea to reach out to you for the chat, because I just love how authentic it sounds. You guys are real. You know what I mean? You're genuine. Bullshit. You wear your hearts on your sleeve. You're the love of heavy metal. It's all there. It's heavy metal by heavy metal fans.
Exactly that. Cool. Yeah.
So,
well, if you like our previous releases before our 2 singles, we're remixing and remastering the first 8, so they're kicking ass. We're about 2 away from finishing all those, so just keep an ear out for those. They'll be coming out towards the end of the year or next year, so we'll see how things go.
Okay, and that's they're going to be available obviously on the streaming platforms as well as in physical copy.
Yeah, and we'll also have physical as well, CDs, and we'll be producing single CDs of the 2 singles as well.
Yeah, nice. All right, yeah. You got it all going for you guys. Good luck with it. We all do this because we love it, as we've already spoken about. So just please keep on creating killer heavy metal Queensland and Sunshine Coast style. Love what you guys are doing. So, all the best with it.
Thank you, man.
Thank you very much, man, and thanks for the interview.
Well, there you have it, the conversation between myself and the brothers, Tass and Toli Hadoulis from the Sunshine Coast-based killer metal outfit, Warrior Within. If you like that conversation and you want to hear many more, go across to scarsandguitars.com. Well, actually, don't go there just yet because the website isn't quite complete. Go to scarsandguitars.net and open up the podcast tab, and you can search for your favourite artist in the Whooshka widget. I'd appreciate it if you could like, subscribe, and share. I don't like asking you for all of that sort of stuff in the bumpers here, but if I don't ask, then I haven't asked. You know what I'm saying? And therefore you don't know that it's something that I might want you to do. Anyway, you know what to do. You know that also I appreciate that you've tuned in. It means a lot. Support heavy metal in all its various shapes and forms. My name's Andrew Mackay-Smith, and I'm the host of the Scars and Guitars podcast series. It's goodbye for now.